commercial maths, we'll be studying compound interest. And this is lesson number 2. So today we'll be starting compound interest. I would just want you to know what is a compound interest. Compound interest or compounding interest is interest that is calculated on the initial principal. Okay, initial principal, the starting principal, which also includes all of the accumulated interest, collected interest from previous periods on a deposit or a loan. Okay, so this is what a compound interest is. I would just like to explain to you using an illustration. Suppose there is a man who would like to deposit some money in a bank. Okay, so a man wants to deposit some money in a bank, and let us say that he wants to deposit 1000 rupees. Okay, a man wants to deposit 1000 rupees, and he has a savings account in a bank, so it deposits 1000 rupees in the bank. And let's say the bank's interest rate is 10% per annum. Per annum refers to per year. So the bank would return 10% in a year of the amount that is deposited by this man. Okay, annum refers to a year. So at the end of 1 year, he will get rupees 100, because 10% of 1000 is 100. So at the end of 1 year, he will get rupees 100 interest, okay, on his deposit. So this 100 rupees is the interest on his deposit. The deposit was 1000 rupees. So however, unless he takes out his interest money, that is 100 rupees, what is going to happen? This 100 rupees will be added to his initial. And how much was his initial deposit? 1000 rupees. Okay, so this interest that he got, 100 rupees, will be added to his initial deposit, that is 1000 rupees. And it will happen only if he leaves his money in his account. If he takes out his money, then this is not possible. In the next year, the bank will be paying him interest on his initial. Okay, the bank will be paying him interest on his initial, right? So his initial deposit was rupees 1000. Rupees 1000. So I hope you have understood till here. This man deposits 1000, bank gives 10% of the initial deposit, that is 100. So the man will be getting back rupees 100 as the interest. So this is how it happens. 1000 rupees was the deposit. The bank pays the man back 10% of the deposit. So 10% of the deposit is 100 rupees. So that totals to, it's quite easy, right? 1000 and 100 rupees. So 1100 rupees is 1100 rupees, right? Rupees 1100. Now in the third year, the interest will once again be added to the new principal. of rupees 1100. This is the new principal, rupees 1100. So in the next year, 10% of 1100 will be added to this amount, okay, the present principal amount, and so on for as long as the money is left in the account. As long as the money is left in the account, the interest will be added to that principal. Now this kind of interest is known as compound interest. Let us understand principal. Few terms that we'll be using in compound interest. The principal is the original amount that is borrowed or lent, on which interest is then paid or given. So principal is the original amount that is borrowed or given, lent, on which interest is then paid or given. So remember that principal is the original amount, principal amount, and borrowed refers to the money that is taken, and lent refers to the money that is given. So this is principal. For example, you can see the borrower and the money and the person who is lending the money. Let's see another example. If Amit borrows rupees 1000 from bank, that means Amit has taken loan from the bank, 1000 rupees loan. And so what is the principal? The principal of is rupees 1000. So the principal of the loan is rupees 1000. So 1000 is the actual money that Amit had borrowed. You can see the illustration that I have given here, that the bank has lent, or this man has borrowed rupees 1000 from the bank. So bank becomes the lender and the person who borrows the money is the borrower. And the amount that is borrowed or lent, okay, it is called as the principal amount. So the principal of the loan is rupees 1000 in this example. Let's understand what is rate. Okay, now the amount of charge or payment with reference to some basis of calculation. So what is rate? We also call it as rate percent. It is the amount of charge or the amount or the payment with reference to some basis of calculations, like for example 5% of 20, right? 5%, the rate is 5% of 20. So 5% of 20 would be 5%. Percent refers to per 100. That's why we write it as fraction. 5 by 100 of refers to multiplication. So 5% of 20 would be 5 by 100 into 20. That is 1. Let's see another example. 5% of rupees 40. 5% of rupees 40. Like I said, percent refers to per 100. So 5% would be written as 5 by 100. Of refers to into rupees 40. So when we calculate this, we will get the answer as rupees 2 rupees. So this is the explanation about rate. Let's see what is time. What is time in regard to calculating compound interest or simple interest? So what is time? It is the duration for which loan is taken, okay, borrowed, or the loan is given, that is lent. And it is also the duration for which money is borrowed or lent, like I said. Let's see an example here. James has taken loan for 2 years. James has taken loan for 2 years. So the time mentioned here is 2 years. He has taken loan for 2 years. Let's see another example. Pratiksha has borrowed money from Preeti for 2 months. So can you see there is time mentioned here? The time here is 2 months. So this was about time. Let's see what is simple interest. How can we understand simple interest in a simple way? Now, this simple interest is the interest that is calculated on only the principal portion of the loan. Only the principal portion, the actual principal of the loan. But on the other hand, compound interest. Now that compound interest that we calculate, it is based on the principal amount, right? It is based on the principal amount and also on the interests, accumulated interests of previous periods. Okay, accumulated interest of previous periods. Now I would like to put it in with red line there so that you understand it. Simple interest is calculated on the principal portion of the loan, whereas compound interest is calculated on the principal amount and also on the accumulated interest of previous periods. Let us try to understand what is amount based on compound interest, or let's say commercial maths. An amount of money that is borrowed, mostly often from a bank, and has to be paid back. When we borrow money from the bank, we have to pay back the money to the bank, but we are not paying the same amount that we borrowed, right? Usually together we have to pay with an extra amount of money that we have to pay as a charge for borrowing that money. So that means, very quickly, if I take ₹1,000 as loan from the bank, the amount payable to bank will be ₹1,000 plus the accumulated interest. So amount is equal to principal plus interest. So this is what amount is. So I hope this introduction of compound interest is understood. You can just go back, revise, and just go through this introduction of compound interest.